Just trying to think about it.
Cool.
I bring over there a sound system,
Mm-hmm.
2 little light things that say backroom comedy,
Okay.
and a microphone, and what else? A microphone stand, a bunch of cords,
Yeah.
and a little bucket that says donate to comedy.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
I need to. Oh, by the way, this is Pod Potatoes with Mark Selzer, and a couch potato is someone that watches television all day, and a pod potato is someone who listens to podcasts all day.
Oh, I thought you were calling me a couch potato
No.
for a second.
You don't look like a couch potato.
No.
You're very thin.
Yeah.
I didn't shave.
Yeah, more of a couch French fry.
Laura
Yes.
Colquhoun.
Close enough. Cahoon.
Cahoon.
Yeah.
That's your name.
Cahoon. That's my name. It's a Scottish name, and I'm Scottish.
So
And Calhoun comes from Cahoon.
Calhoun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Cahoons came over on boats, and people said, "What's your name?" And they said Cahoon, and they wrote down Calhoun.
Ah.
That's what happened.
There was a joke in a show called The F Troop
Uh-huh.
from the 1960s,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't dare tell this joke on television now.
Okay.
But there was a tribe of Indians then in the show. It was called. They say it took place at a barracks in the Old West, and the tribe was called the Hekawi.
Okay.
And they said, "How did the Hekawi get their name?" And the Indian guy, probably played by an Italian guy, the guy who was the most famous Indian, Chief Crybaby. Have you ever seen that commercial?
No.
You never saw that commercial?
Well, again, I'm from Scotland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's one of the most famous, iconic American commercials. It was a public service announcement of been telling people not to litter.
Okay.
And it was this guy this Indian going through, like rowing his canoe, and then he goes up on shore and there's all this trash and garbage everywhere, and it turns and they show his face and there's a tear going down his face.
Oh.
Because the white people have come to his land and ruined his land.
With litter?
So he was known as Chief Crybaby.
Oh.
But in the movies, he was one of the most famous extras and guys that played Indians in movies, but his actual name
Was not Chief Crybaby.
was not Chief Crybaby. His actual name, he was a Guido from Italy.
Okay.
And he didn't have an ounce of Native American blood in him. But the Native Americans liked him because he went to bat for the Native Americans.
Okay.
And he married a Native American woman.
So he was into it.
When he died, he has a star on Hollywood Boulevard. And it doesn't say Chief Crybaby.
What
It
does
says
it say?
Iron Eyes Cody. And that was his name.
Iron Eyes?
Yeah, that was his
So it's
stage
the opposite
name.
of Crying Eyes.
Right, the opposite of Crying Eyes. But he's also known as Chief Crybaby. But the big scandal was that he was not a real American Indian. And he was he was the one in that commercial as well.
Okay.
And anyway, so this guy who's explaining this was probably another Italian, also another Guido, playing an Indian. And in the 1960s, then you could do things like that. And he said, "Oh, how the heck we get their name? One day we moved our tribe, and we went up many mountains and down many mountains and up many mountains and down many mountains, across many fields. Eventually, the whole tribe fell off of a cliff, and then when we landed, we all got up, and one of us said, 'Where the heck are we?'"
Oh, I knew it was going to be that. Okay. Yeah.
A horrible joke like you get in a 60s
I'm not
TV
imagining
show.
this pun.
But-
It's
but-
definitely there.
But no one would do that now. But, very, very non-PC.
Definitely not. They would not do that.
So I apologize for my messy apartment. I had to move my record business in here.
Believe it or not, I've seen messier
Yeah.
apartments. Yeah.
This is just a temporary apartment. It's half the size, and I had to move. They forced me to move my record collection out of here. out of the other apartment where they're all in nice, neat shelves that went up to the ceiling.
Oh, not
so
in
it didn't
boxes.
take up any room.
Okay.
I had to put them all in boxes and move them in here. Now that I've gotten a lawyer and I'm suing them, I should have stayed in there in my room and held them hostage until I got out, until they paid me a bunch of money to move my...
Yeah, they have to. You can't just make someone move without paying them.
And they didn't pay me at all. And I didn't know that, and I was stupid, but now I have a lawyer, and I'm suing, and I'm getting a rent reduction.
Oh, that's cool.
From the county. The county's going to force them to give me a rent reduction, but their main thing is just to rip you off as much as they possibly can.
Are you, who, the county or the landlord?
No, the landlord.
Are you going to move back to the bigger apartment?
I'm going to move back into the bigger apartment unless they pay me a whole bunch of money not to.
So you can just move back in there whenever you want?
I can move back in there when they're done.
Do you still have the keys? Oh, they're renovating it, so it'll be better when you move back in.
When I move back in.
Yeah.
But they will not have paid me money for my pain and suffering unless they work out something with my lawyer. We shall see.
Okay. Well, you better make sure you suffer a lot so you get a lot of money.
Right. Well, I am suffering living in this tiny space.
This is, I mean, it's not that tiny. The other one must be pretty big.
Well, you know, it's huge. It's twice the size of this.
Right.
More than twice the size of this. It's monstrous.
Okay.
It's a gorgeous apartment in the front of the building. It's just beautiful.
Well, that's great.
And we can walk over and see. You want to walk over and see it?
Sure.
Let's walk over and look at it.
Walk and talk.
We'll walk over into my other place. Yeah, I have actually 3 cameras to do a 3-camera shoot. But here, I'll show you. See, this is these are the records in there.
Wow.
And I am retired on those.
Well, you should make it a video podcast then if you have the cameras.
Well, I do have the cameras. Eventually, I'm going to do a 3...
You have your keys, right?
Yes. They didn't even give me a key. They gave me this electronic thing.
Well, that's what all the modern buildings have.
Yeah?
Yeah, they all have those.
I'm moving on up.
Oh.
See, so now it looks like hell. Now,
wait, this is the apartment?
This is the hallway to my apartment.
Okay.
Because they put these doors in here, I guess, to protect us from the dust.
Yeah.
This is my apartment here. There's many big, beautiful closets.
Wow.
And they put in an air conditioner and a heater. Nice. I have this big, beautiful closet in there.
Yeah, my place has a lot of storage space as well. I have a closet about the same size as that.
Then I have this beautiful place over here, which is like a makeup, beautification, grooming area outside of the bathroom. Then I have this big, beautiful bathroom,
Very cool.
which has a wonderful view.
Are they going to put a new tub in here?
I don't know. They might just fix that one up. They have this process where they put like stuff over it that makes it. This is going to be my new box, and then I have this beautiful closet as well.
Cool. I think the building's about the same age as mine.
And this is my living room.
Wow.
This is really big. And then I have this gorgeous view, which is one of the things that makes this apartment so
That's the first
appealing.
thing I noticed in this room.
It's just gorgeous. A gorgeous view. And,
What's that room in there?
And then this is my big, beautiful kitchen.
Okay.
Which is beautiful. This door doesn't even fit. I just put this on here for decoration.
Wait, you put the door on?
Yeah, I put this door in there, but it doesn't even fit. It's just a beautiful door I found on the street, and I thought, well, it's a beautiful door. I'm going to put that on my kitchen.
Yeah, it's nice.
So and then this one will have, those new counters like you saw in my temporary space. Mm-hmm. And it'll all be redone and gorgeous, and a new refrigerator and stove and all this stuff. And then I have this beautiful, beautiful view.
When's it going to be finished?
Probably 8 months.
Okay.
Many, many, many months. So I'm going to be stuck in that little place. And they're still trying to charge me the same amount of money for that space. I mean, this is my living room. This is about the space that I have. This is about the size of the place they have me in.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you've been here for 20 years?
Probably.
Wow. Where are you from?
I'm from here.
Oh.
I was born in Glendale. I'm a Valley boy.
All right.
Born in Glendale Valley, from California. And look at the place next door. And this is half the size. I think this apartment here actually used to be part of this apartment, part of my apartment. I think my apartment was cut in half to make more.
That makes sense.
More stuff.
Okay.
So anyway.
So this was a pretty fancy building.
It was at one point, and then it went down the tubes, and it was like this horrid place where there were drug dealers. When I first moved in, there were drug dealers and drug addicts sleeping in the hallway waiting for the drug dealer to come home, and then the drug dealer would come home and they would get in fist fights with the drug addicts sleeping in the hallways waiting for them, I guess over the price of the dope, and then there would be like, there was a guy living in my apartment and his name was New York. And I guess his occupation was pimp/drug dealer. If he was filling out a job application, and he was filling out the form, the question that said current occupation, it would be pimp/drug dealer.
Oh, he would? Okay.
That's what it would be. So there's all these really gross, like scabby prostitutes that used to live with him.
Ew.
In what was my apartment building, and I lived in another building in here, and I would call the police every day, constantly trying to get him out of there, and other people, and get the people out of here who were disgusting, and get there were like people that had cats and dogs that would let their dogs and their cats like pee and poo in the hallway.
Oh, that's gross.
And there was all these people that would be here who were called Section 8.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So they were crazy, and they would like talk to me and yell at me, and there was a woman who lived in the ground floor, and she always had her door open. She was always naked inside of her apartment, and she wasn't anyone you wanted to see naked, at least not in a classical beauty sense, shall we say.
Okay.
She was an older, overweight woman, and she would go around and put her bras and her panties on the doorknobs.
Okay.
Of the other
apartments.
Other apartments.
That's bizarre.
And she had a purple wig, naked with a purple wig, and then she used to. And then eventually the guy, you know, like in the cartoons.
What guy?
Where the guy when the people in the white suits come and take you away on a stretcher.
Oh.
That really happened, like for real. She was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and they just came and took her away one day.
That's no fun.
And then they got rid of all the Section 8s, and it's one of the things that I did was ask them to no longer take Section 8s, and they agreed with me.
Okay.
We used to have something in the lobby used to be filled with couches, and there was all these crazy people in it that would try to talk to you as you come into the building. And then I used to call it the Section 8 social hour, and eventually, I asked them to, and they got rid of the couches in the lobby so the crazy people couldn't sit there anymore.
Oh, okay.
But then they would all hang out there for the mail coming, and they were all waiting there for like 4 hours before the mail came, and talking to each other and talking to everyone that came into the building, and they'd get mad at you if you didn't talk to them. And have their dogs come and poo in front of your apartment if you wouldn't allow them to talk to you. I mean, the place was just insane.
Yeah.
And eventually I called the housing department and the Department of Environmental Affairs and the zoning department and every single county agency that I could, and got them in here, inspectors in here every single day. And eventually forced everything to get fixed, and got it almost into something called a REAP, which is where the county takes it over. And so what they did was they bribed me with that apartment over there. They said, we'll give you that apartment if you lay off.
Oh, okay.
And I talked to my lawyer, and I said, that was okay, I can do that. So that's how I got the most desirable apartment in this building.
Oh, okay.
And I should still be in it right now. I'm forcing them to pay me a bunch of money to move out, but I didn't. But now I do have a lawyer. And so we will see, and they're going to try to raise my rent once I get in there, but I only can do it a certain amount. So it's going to be worth, once they fix up this apartment and they furnish that apartment, it's going to be worth $5,000-$6,000 a month they could get for that apartment, and I'll be locked into a much, much, much lower rate.
Oh, that's good.
So they might want to pay me a bunch of money to move out, and I'll move back in there. We will see what happens.
Okay.
But my lease is month to month, which basically means forever.
Yeah. Okay.
So what about you? So how long have you been doing comedy?
I have been producing stand-up shows since 2014. I fell into it because I had a friend who's a comic, and we were having lunch one day and brainstorming ideas of stuff to do. And I was working at this place that was a lounge bar, and I said, you could run a comedy show at this new place I'm working at, and I'll help you do it. And she said, yeah, cool. And then a couple days later, I realized that I was doing all the work and she wasn't doing anything. So it ended up being my show. And I know a lot of comedians, so I booked a lot of comedians on the show and just ended up doing these shows myself. I've been acting for a long time, but I had never done stand-up before. And I just started doing it like a month ago.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're going to be on my show tonight.
I am, yeah.
So you have to get your best. You're going to be up there with other comedians who've been doing it a long time.
Sure.
And getting paid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are they getting paid tonight?
No. No one gets paid in L.A.
Oh, where do they go on the road and get paid?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
You can get paid outside. Like I went to Vegas last night. I got a little tiny bit of money.
Last night?
Yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully I won't be too exhausted and I'll fall asleep.
Okay.
If not, I'll be doing a performance art piece. I'll fall asleep on the stage.
Okay, that'll be surreal.
Behind the people, behind the comics while they're performing. It would be very Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman used to do that. Andy Kaufman used to go on stage and sleep and stuff like that and do his laundry.
Yeah, that's who I thought of when you said that, actually.
Yeah, so it's been done. Maybe I shouldn't do it since it's already been done.
Maybe you can sleep differently, though.
Maybe I could.
You could sleepwalk.
I can sleepwalk. I'll be doing that tonight, definitely, while I'm hosting the show. Because we go until we run out of comics and we run out of drunks. So
okay, which usually happens first?
Usually comedians.
Okay.
Usually the comics like wimp out about 11:30. Now they're going a little bit later.
Okay.
But a lot of times it'll be 11:30 and then 20 people coming from the bar at like 11:30, 12, 12:30 at night, and then it'll be me up there doing a half hour and then I'll leave.
Okay.
So it's like, which is good, but now the comics have started to hang out later and get more comics. The comics are usually pretty nocturnal. But a lot of comedians are like, they come up to me during the show and they're like, oh, can I go up early because I have to get up in the morning, go to my job, and I have to feed my baby and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I'm just like, get your priorities straight. You need to leave your family and quit your job and live in your car so
baby
you can do
feed
comedy.
itself, right?
You know?
Yeah.
You have to, and I know people who do that. They live in their car and have done that
I have known
3 years,
people
5 years.
Who do that.
So they go to 3, 4 open mics a day, and then they still suck after like 3 years of living in their car, and it's too bad.
Yeah, and then it's too late.
Then it's too late.
And their life's just over.
They've ruined their life already. They left their family.
Can't get another job because they don't have experience and everything.
So I've seen so many people do that, but they just suck at comedy.
Oh no!
And that's the way that it is. It's
so
hard.
Tragic.
It's difficult. It is. There was a lot of women, and have done that. Some of them did porn at one point before they did comedy.
Before?
Yeah.
They're like, now I'm gonna do stand up. Now I want no money.
Some of them talked about it, and some of them didn't. But there was quite a few that I've known that have done that.
Yeah.
And then
does anyone ever go the other way?
Go to comedy? And there was a woman who did recently. And I forget her name. I just had her on my show. There's a porn actress who also does comedy, and I've had her on my show like twice. Okay. Then there's a woman who did comedy for a long time, and then she started doing porn too. Okay. So.
Oh well, it's good to have options.
It's good to have options, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Ron Jeremy also does comedy as well.
Does he? I saw him at the Comedy Store a couple times.
Really?
I remember one time he was falling asleep in his chair. Another time he refused to pay his bill. That was fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was a waitress at the Comedy Store.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So tell us about your adventures of being a waitress at the Comedy Store.
Wow, that's a long story. It was a fun place to work. I've always been into comedy. Since I was a little girl, I watched movies with my dad, like old comedy movies. So when I started working there, it was a lot of fun just to be surrounded by the comedy. The people are cool. I always thought it'd be good to have a reality show backstage at the Comedy Store.
Just about being a waitress at the Comedy Store?
Oh, not about me, about like the people, like the whole place.
The whole place, yeah, I would. What?
There's just so many characters,
Yeah.
and a lot of the funniest stuff that I saw happened off stage,
Right.
like in the back bar.
Like what
You
happened?
know,
Like
like
tell us some funny
waitresses
stories.
and waiters talking to each other. It's a few years since I worked there. I don't remember
Uh-huh.
actual words, but I just remember standing there going, "This is hilarious," and there
Right.
should be a reality show about it. I talked to a couple people about it, and they tried doing one.
Oh,
It
really?
was called Minding the Store.
Oh, really?
You never heard of that?
No.
Like a few years ago, yeah.
What happened?
I
may have heard
don't want to
vaguely about
say what I was told, why it didn't work out, but it kind of it just took a different direction and didn't work out. There's a lot of politics there as well, a lot of people disagreeing about stuff. I mean, there could have been a show easily, but everyone has to agree for it to happen, right?
Right, there's a lot of
Yeah.
chefs in that kitchen.
Yes.
And sometimes they ruin the broth.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that. And there's been lots of trials and tribulations there. I just met the old guy who was the talent coordinator, Tommy.
Yeah.
And he was doing, that was at your,
That wasn't my show,
He's
yeah.
at your show.
Yeah, we worked together. Because when I started doing my shows, I didn't know what I was doing.
Uh-huh.
And I had made friends with him while I worked at the Comedy Store. So I got his number from a comedian who I knew him, and I called him. I said, "Hey, will you help me with the lineups?" Because he did the lineups there for a long time, and he knows all the comedians and knows what kind of order people should go in terms of energy. It's dynamics, like with music. There has to be high energy, and then if you have a lower energy comedian, you got to go back up to high energy, and there's this whole flow of the show. So I called him, and he helped me doing, and he still is, like, since day one. He helped me schedule the shows.
Right.
And a lot of comedians come because they came up while he was the talent coordinator. So he gave them opportunities, and because like they know him, they come and do my little show.
Right.
And otherwise they wouldn't.
Oh, really?
Because they play big shows and they're on TV and stuff. Like they wouldn't usually come to a little theater, but they come for Tommy.
Yeah, I get everybody on my show. I just ask all the people. I get, people that get paid to do comedy on my show all the time. Just ask them, if they're not busy that night, they want to go out and do something. They want to go out and work on material. They want to appear somewhere.
Yeah.
They're just sitting at home with their cats, So.
Do all comedians have cats?
Oh, a lot of them do.
Should I get a cat now? Now that
You
I'm
get a
starting?
cat
Oh,
now,
no.
right.
I'll have to move because my landlady doesn't allow cats.
Male comedians are known to have cats, yes.
Really?
Yes, yeah. Maybe it's a Mark Maron inspired stereotype.
Maybe they all do it because they think that's the secret.
Maybe having the cats is a secret, Who knows? I got rid of my cats. I had cats.
You got rid of them?
Yeah. I gave one of my cats away. My cat died.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then I thought, a year went by, and there was this cat and outside. And it was like, it looked at me and was like, meow. And then I thought, it's an abandoned cat. Yeah, because it was really skinny and it looked like the other cats had been trying to kill it.
Oh.
And
it was like, save me.
It was like, save me, and then I would try to catch him and he would run away because he wasn't sure if I was going to eat him or try to beat him up or kill him like the other cats were. And he was scratching around in some sand, so I thought, he used to be domestic and he's been abandoned.
Oh.
So I took him in and got him all fat and plump. In fact, I took him in. What we had to do is we contacted, I knew someone that knew the area crazy cat lady. Who's the lady that goes around feeding all the feral cats. And she I got word to her through a friend that I wanted that cat, so she went and caught him. She knows how to catch cats.
Yeah.
She's a cat expert. And then took him to the vet and spent a bunch of money on him, and then gave him to me. And he was a hell of a cat. He had a lot of behavioral problems, a lot of there were a lot of problems, but I was able to train him. But he just needed so much attention and so much care. And he was a long-haired cat, and he had to be brushed every day. And if you didn't brush him every day, you had to trim his claws, and if you didn't trim his claws, he would pet you on your face with his claws.
Cats always and scratch you and
scratch you.
Yeah, I would never have a cat. Honestly, I'm never getting a cat.
And then you didn't brush him every day. He would get these big, huge gobs of tangled hair, and you'd have to cut them out of there.
Gross.
And so he was quite a handful, and I couldn't take care of him anymore. So I gave him away to a young 13-year-old girl who would dote on him all day and take care of him and brush him every day. And
okay.
think he's wonderful and give him all the attention that he needed.
That worked out then.
So that worked out because I just couldn't, because I'm out every night doing comedy and everything else.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I'm going to get a dog soon, but I want to make sure I'm going to be home enough because I'm out a lot right now as well, and I don't want to leave a dog on its own for long periods
because you're going to be out every night till 3 in the morning.
No, I'm not going to do that. Here's the thing. Like, I'm hosting my own show now, but I'm not trying to go on the road. I don't want to go. I don't want to go on the road. I don't want to do comedy every day. Like, it's better for me to host my own show. Like, I used to ask people to do it, and then I thought, I'm just going to do it myself. Plus, I kept getting ideas for jokes and putting them in my phone, and I was like, why do I have a phone full of jokes and I never perform? I thought, I'm going to try it, and then I thought, why don't I just host my own shows? And then I'll do shows like your one. If things come up, I'll do it, but I am not trying to go on the road. I really don't want to.
I probably would live on the road if I could, probably. Yeah. We will see what happens. But right now I have this show, and if I go out, I need to train people to do, in fact, you might be able to help, and who knows, I may have to train people to take over this show, because I'd like to keep this show.
Oh, but you can't do it when you're out of town.
If I'm out of town, I'm not going to be able to do it, but I want to keep it. So it gives you a lot of leverage in LA to have a show, and I've got a hell of a show. I have a beautiful place. So I'm going to keep this place as long as I can. It's gorgeous, and it's a wonderful location. It's a wonderful place. It's a wonderful bar, and it's a stage in the back of the back patio of this wonderful bar where they have rock bands play.
Nice. Is it another old historic building? Like
this? I guess the bar's been there since the 30s. The Black Dahlia, if you know who that is.
I do.
Used to go and have a drink there every day.
Okay.
She used to live in that building right there.
No way.
And then she used to walk down Hollywood to Hollywood Boulevard on Cherokee and go down to the Bordners and have a drink.
Oh, that's cool. I can't wait to go and check it out.
One night it was her last day on Earth. But there's a lot of crime history around here. In fact, there used to be a guy, I'd love to have him on my show, he used to do a crime history tour of Hollywood.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I'd really love to have him on the show, but in fact, I'll try to find him online. But he's a Hollywood historian, and he has artifacts like the Manson, the Sharon Tate house when they tore that down. He went there and said, "Can you get me a brick from the fireplace? Can you get me one of the things from the fireplace?" What a sicko! And they said okay, and they got him like a part of the fireplace. And then when they tore down the hotel where Kennedy was shot.
Okay.
Not the President Kennedy, but his brother running for president.
It doesn't matter. As long as somebody was shot.
Somebody was shot there.
Yeah.
Well, it's a crime museum. He runs a crime museum, and he used to have all these artifacts in his little museum down there, but he shut it down, which is too bad. But it was called the Dearly Departed Tour.
Okay.
And I want to have him on.
Does he not do it anymore?
I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out and try to see if he'll do a podcast with me. But he knows all the dirt where all the stuff happened.
Wow.
So he has artifacts of all these famous buildings.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to get him on the show. We shall see. So Stay tuned, Pod Potato fans. Pod potatoes. Stay tuned. We will have the Hollywood crime historian on. And then my normal historian that tells us, and this is the place where, and then there's another hotel over there where they did that horrible movie, Pretty Woman. I was never able to sit through that movie. And
I've sat through it many times.
Oh, really?
I've actually stayed in the hotel as well.
Oh, you stayed in the hotel over there where it was filmed, in front of it was filmed? Okay.
Yep.
So anyway, they'll tell me all that stuff, and I guess the church over there that's on Highland and Franklin was there. That's where they filmed the Back to the Future high school scenes. Was there? There's all that stuff around here too. So I'll have to do a video podcast of that. And I was experimenting with live broadcasting the show on Facebook.
That's what
while
I saw.
I was doing it.
That's why I thought it was
But
video.
there's no audio. For some reason, I cannot do audio
and video
at the same time. No. I think I figured out a way to do it because the first clip I had did have audio on it when I did talk to the guests. So I was thinking of live broadcasting on Facebook and also simultaneously live broadcasting onto what's it called? YouTube, because you can live broadcast on YouTube as well.
Okay.
So we will see, and then maybe once I get my big place back over there, I'll set up my 3 cameras and I'll start doing a 3-camera shoot.
Yeah, you could do interviews in that living room. There's a lot of space.
A lot of space.
Yeah.
And I could do like 3-camera shoots and have a show and just invite over, a couple of comedians.
You could even have a show in that living room.
I could. We will see what happens if I get back in there and see what kind of funding, and then see if we can get a sponsor and do all that stuff. I used to do an educational show for the Libertarian Party, but fortunately I burned out. I was unable to do it anymore. But I did it for many, many years, and I still have all the tapes, and some of them are up on YouTube and stuff like that. But it was a long time ago.
Cool.
But when I look back at it, I think, how did I get all the enthusiasm to do that? And I have no idea.
What is the Libertarian? I'm good, thank you. What's the Libertarian Party about?
The Libertarian Party is the 3rd largest political party in the United States, which still means we're very small. We do have people elected here and there. And Libertarianism is basically just mind your own business.
Okay.
Government out of your lives and out of your pockets.
Live and let live?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what we are. What I still believe, but I'm no longer an activist because it's just too much. When the we also got thrown off the ballot in California. I was an official in the California Libertarian Party.
Okay.
And they threw us off the ballot. What they did here was they went to what's called a jungle primary. So you have all the candidates, and then the top 2 will go into the runoff election. So when you do an election, the Republicans, the Democrats, and Libertarians put their candidates on the ballot.
Okay.
And then whoever wins the nomination for the Republicans and Democrats goes against each other. And whoever wins the nomination for the Libertarian Party, we usually didn't have a race. Sometimes we did. This was someone we really didn't like that was running for, it wasn't a Libertarian, then we'd stick somebody else in there and try to beat them. But generally, so then the Libertarian, the Green, the Democrat, and Republican would all be on the ballot in the general election. But now they just take the top 2. So in California, that means 2 Democrats are running against each other in the general election. And the Libertarian is usually thrown off the ballot entirely. So they pretty much threw us off the ballot, and they've been trying for a long time. So we're not on the ballot anymore in California, so I think it's kind of useless.
What's the point?
Yeah, and then also we can try to put people on the ballot, but usually we fail. And then also the other thing that really convinced me was I knew a guy in the Green Party who was the vice presidential candidate of the Green Party. And he sued the government at one point. He ended up suing them. And he found out through discovery that 2 out of every 10 people that worked for his campaign were CIA, FBI, and NSA agents. So I thought, man, if they're doing that in the Green Party, it's probably the same thing in the Libertarian Party. And we always suspected that. Some of the people around us were CIA, FBI, or NSA agents.
Right.
Worried that we were going to get elected. And so we suspected that for a long time, and I suspected that for a long time. And once I knew that was true, I'm like, you know what? I'm not a rich man. I run a business, and it keeps me, middle class, lower middle class. I'm retired, lower middle class on my business, on my punk rock record collection. And
I didn't know it was punk rock. That's awesome.
It's all punk rock.
It's all punk rock?
All punk rock.
Wow.
In fact, those right there are rare Japanese punk rock records from the early
Right
80s.
here?
Yeah, but don't touch them.
I'm not gonna. I almost did. I
If
thought
you
better
bend,
not.
sometimes
I
those
knew I
things.
shouldn't.
Sometimes those records sell for $400, but if
Wow.
you bend a corner on one,
Uh-huh.
it could then go from mint to near mint, and that means I could be down $150
Fuck.
on that
Wow.
record. So they're like coins and stamps.
Yeah.
And that band right there that you see on top is called Nuclear Masturbation when you translate it into English.
Oh, that's what it means?
Nuclear Masturbation.
Okay.
And they're wonderful.
Yeah.
And those are 8-inch records, different than the 1 inch bigger than the 7-inch records
Uh-huh.
that you usually see that are small like that.
Uh-huh.
In Japan, they had the 7-inch record and they also had the 8-inch record,
Oh, they did?
which is fairly common there for a while.
Okay.
And then punk and new wave bands also started to put out the 10-inch record as well.
Uh-huh.
And then those had a revival for underground alternative rock bands, thought those were hip, and they were putting those out for a while. But, yeah, that's what they all are. It's all punk rock. I lived and breathed punk rock my whole life.
Very cool.
So that's what I did. I hoarded all the punk rock records when no one wanted them.
Uh-huh.
And then I just continued to
Yeah.
have them. So what do? You just worked as a waitress? Tell us more stories about working at the. Tell us more stories about working at the comedy store. Yeah. Who were the big comedians when you were there?
Who were the big... Well, you mentioned Mark Maron earlier.
Yeah.
He was there. He was very nice. Friends in Ireland, one of whom asked Mark Maron if he could use his interview with Robin Williams for some podcast.
Uh-huh.
And Mark Maron said, yes, no problem. So that makes him nice.
Yeah.
Who else? Ian Edwards.
Mark
Chris
Maron
D'Elia.
used to actually come up and talk to me for a while at the comedy store. He used to come up to me, just walk up to me and start talking to me.
Yeah, he
at
talked
the
to me at the
comedy
bar one
store.
time. He seems like a nice person.
And then my novelty wore off. He doesn't come up and talk to
Oh,
me anymore.
he got all he needed to know.
He got all
out
he
of you,
needed.
and
Know
that
all
was
he
it.
needed. He
Yeah.
knew what my story is.
Jeff Garlin
Uh-huh.
would talk to me a lot. He goes around with his vintage camera taking pictures of people. He's a nice guy. Who else? Whitney Cummings performed there a lot. Sarah Silverman. I mean, I'm sure they still do.
I haven't seen Sarah Silverman there more than once. She hasn't come
Well, she
around
does movies
a lot.
and stuff
She does
now.
movies
Well,
and
she's
stuff
been doing them for a
now.
long time, but she does the big ones a lot now. So
She was around town a year and a half ago or something like that, doing a bunch of stuff, appearances, and working on some new material. And everyone said she's lost her edge. That's what everyone was saying
Really?
about her. Yeah, she's lost her
well, that's
edge.
not nice. You know what? If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah, well, I like her. I think she's funny, but lately I've seen her stuff and I have not thought it was very funny. A lot of times I think when comedians get too political, it's been
that's a whole
downhill.
different thing. I just ignore that, though. I don't care what a famous person thinks about
Yeah, who
politics.
cares?
Yeah, like what they do is entertaining. I don't care what they think about stuff when it's not part of their act.
Yeah, we've already covered this on this show, but the level of political humor now is really terrible. Like comedians go and say, Trump sucks, Trump's an asshole, and that gets like an applause break. It's like, okay, is there a joke there?
Yeah.
How about writing a joke?
Well, it's just
and
easy.
no one
isn't
even
it?
has to do that anymore because it's just like go out and say, oh, Trump sucks, and then you suddenly get an
Really,
applause
is that
break.
going to happen tonight? Is somebody
Yeah,
gonna say
someone's
that
going to
tonight?
be, oh, Trump sucks, man.
Do they always use that voice?
Yeah, they do. They always do. They always use that voice. That was the alarm, my alarm going off that says, get to Bordner's.
Oh, okay.
Which
So
means
it's
we have
time.
a little bit of time still.
Okay.
We can still go a while. There's going to be another alarm in a half hour that tells me, get to Bordner's right now. See, everything I have to do, I have an alarm on my phone that tells me to do it.
Well, that's sensible.
Get to the post office, which goes off 5 days
For
a week.
mailing records.
For mailing the records, because
Yeah.
that's how I make my living.
Uh-huh.
'Cause if I don't get those records to the post office, I don't live. I don't have food. I don't have money in my pocket. I don't have a thing. You know, if I have a show, I make an alarm for it.
Uh-huh.
If I have sometimes a date, sometimes whatever, I make an alarm, tells me, you know,
Yeah.
get ready, and then it has a little reminder, get ready to do this at this time. So every Wednesday, my phone starts going off telling me, hey, come and, you know, get to Bordner's and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
So soon we'll be dragging things to Bordner's for a comedy show.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, and it is, I'm getting used to doing it again. But for years, I was looking for a place. I had lost my place because this, like, idiot dope addict who was, I had died in the hospital, and there was all these people that moved into my life afterward because I had post-traumatic stress from dying in the hospital and a horrible, painful recovery.
Oh, wow.
And I had all these people in my life that had moved in, drug addicts and narcissists and people with various mental disorders are suddenly around me. I mean, they sense when you're weak, and all these people like move in on you. So anyway, this one dope addict that was around me who was bribing me and taking me to my shows.
You? He was giving you money for stuff?
Yeah, trying to. He was giving me money. He was just paying for stuff for me all the time in order to, and I would get him on shows.
That's not a bad problem. Oh. Okay.
So I would get him on shows and stuff. But anyway, and then he was trying to touch my girlfriends.
Ew.
And he was like 65, and then he hired this other girl that I knew and tried to get her to be his personal assistant, and it was really sleazy, and there was all these, but she was a narcissist anyway, so she was preying on him, and he thought he was preying on her. Oh. But anyway, he passed out at one of my shows. He was smoking crack. Someone gave him some crack. And
is there going to be crack at the show tonight?
No.
Oh, good.
So he was sitting on some giant chairs, and this giant chair, and he fell off and landed on his head. And then the paramedics had to be called.
Drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He passed down, fell, landed on his head, and then the paramedics were called. And after that, they didn't want us there anymore at this show.
Oh, good.
So,
I mean, not good, but
anyway, it wasn't my fault. But since then, I've had treatment for post-traumatic stress and gotten all the dope addicts and narcissists and sociopaths and
just general LA people, basically.
General LA people out of my life and out of my apartment, and the end of these drug addicts that moved into my apartment as roommates, and then they wouldn't pay their rent, they wouldn't move out, and so eventually I got them out of there. But you know, it was hell because you know all of my warning signs weren't up. I mean, now I wouldn't let people like that around me, you know, in a second. But then I was in a daze. Right. And I had no idea what was going on. And they sense when you're weak, and that's when they move in, you know. That's when the vampires come to suck your blood.
Right.
So I talked about that enough on my show already. But anyway, then I've been looking for a place for about a year and a half. And then I was on a horrible date with this Ukrainian alcoholic, and we ended up at this place, Bordner's. And I walked into the back, and it was a Wednesday, and I walked into the back, and there was an empty, beautiful stage back there. Oh. In this beautiful place, which you'll see in a moment. And I thought, man, they've got to fill up this stage with comedians.
That's great.
So since I have a lot of experience doing shows, I went to them and they accepted, and I've been there a while, so we'll see. I'll stay there forever. I'll just keep this show forever and just turn it into a major comedy club and just run it there because it's a perfect place.
And there's a bar in the back room?
There's a bar. There's a huge, beautiful bar that's with all this wood paneling and places to sit, and then you go through that into the back room. Oh, and then there's this gorgeous stage where they have alternative rock bands play usually, and they have this goth club there. Cool. It's called Sinister, and then they have this whole place next door that's empty. I'm like, man, that could be a comedy club. I mean, it's huge. Huge place, you know. I could get the biggest comedy acts in the world in there and just start charging money, but we'll see. We'll just do this for now. We're just doing a weekly show there with a bunch of comics just for people to come. It's just a big party for the comics, just an all-night party for the comics. Awesome. And I put about 15 people on the flyer, and then I have about 15 walk-ins. Oh, you do? Okay. And we just go till the morning. Cool. Go until the wee hours in the morning. We're going a little bit later every night. But we'll see tonight if I conk out early. I don't know.
All right.
But I need to start training people and getting other people involved in the show because, eventually I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be working. If I get a paid gig on a Wednesday, right now I turn down gigs, but I'm not turning down any paid gigs.
Right.
To do this, and I also want to monetize this show too. So I'm going to be working.
Well, it's a good location, isn't it?
To monetize it.
Yeah.
So anyway, tell us, do you have any tell us some hot, juicy stories about the Comedy Store. Who got in a fight?
Man.
Who was going on?
Got in a fight. Sam Tripoli almost got hit on stage one time.
Yeah.
I was working. I don't know how juicy this is, but I was working in the main room, and there was a guy with two women in the audience. A big guy, looked like a bodyguard kind of guy, and Sam Tripoli started talking to them and insinuated that he was having sex with one of the women. Turns out that woman was actually his sister, and he got offended and walked up to the stage and was going to hit Sam Tripoli. That might be the juiciest story.
That's it?
That's it.
Were the comedians dating any of the waitresses?
When I first started there, I was told that was against the rules. If they were, I didn't know.
Really?
That was happening. I mean, I now know that at least one waitress that I do know who's cool is dating one of the comedians now. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of politics in there, and
like, what are the politics at the store?
I mean, you got all the different people, don't you? You have the managers, and you have well, Tommy's not there now, but he was the talent coordinator and overseeing who was booked in all the rooms, and he's an artist and has more of an artistic perspective and saw it as a college system and bring the comedians up through the store. Now I guess they book more comedians that are famous and bring in more money, but they don't have the same. It's not like an artist colony anymore because they're not nurturing talent, and because Tommy does it the way that Mitzi used to, the way she would talk to the comedians and help them develop their comedic talent, and nobody's doing that now.
Yeah, it used to be all these people would see Tommy as holding back their career, not letting them in the store, blah, 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 blah.
But the thing is that there's only so many spots.
They're worse off.
Well, yeah, and they weren't getting spots at other clubs either, so how could they blame Tommy? It's like, it's basic math. Like, how many spots are there versus how many comedians are there? There's not enough spots for everyone, so if people get pissed because they're not getting spots, they're just not as good as the other people. End of story.
Yeah, or you're not as commercial as the other people. But now they have even less of a chance of getting passed through because the store is all about bringing in people that are famous, people with already have big careers.
They're already established.
They're already established rather than bringing LA comics who aren't established and people who've moved here from other states who aren't established and developing that.
Right, so they're going to run out of new comics. Once the famous ones get old, who's going to do the big spots?
They'll just bring in more famous comedians who got famous in other locations.
In other places.
Got TV shows.
Yeah.
And there are lots of people that go up there that have TV shows, and they're just terrible.
Yeah.
And, they weren't picked because they had potential or whatever. They're picked because they have a TV show and they're a name they can put on the marquee.
Right.
But, and a lot of comedy is very, very generic. So, where the Comedy Store is going towards the mainstream and the MTV and the Netflix special and the Comedy Central kind of comedians.
Comedy specials are on Netflix right now.
And they're going to, and some of them are good, a lot of them are bad.
Some of them are good, yeah.
And while they're going towards the mainstream, I'm going towards the alternative and the weird.
Cool.
Here at my place. That's what I want to do.
That's great.
So that's the idea of that rather than the...
Weird is good. Silly is good. Silly is my favorite kind of comedy.
Silly?
Yeah, just absurd and silly. Not like... not political. Not like, attacking anyone or any group. I like kind of harmless, silly... Like, I'm from the UK. I like Monty Python is silly, It's just ridiculous. That's my favorite kind of comedy.
Yeah, I used to have a card, one of my business card that would say absurdist on it. It didn't say comedian. I don't think mine still says comedian. But, I'm a performance artist. I actually come from an art background, and I'm a performance artist, and I do performance art.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing. But I'm doing comedic performance art. I'm taking on the accoutrements of a comedian and doing performance art with it.
I think comedy is the most difficult type of performance art, and I've thought this for a long time. Like, if you're doing a play and the audience is completely silent, you could still be doing well. But if you're a comedian and there's no sound from the audience, you're failing. And to me, that just seems like the scariest thing ever. Now that I've done it myself a few times, it's not quite as scary as I thought.
Oh, it gets scary. Don't worry, it'll get worse. It'll get worse.
Yeah, maybe the fact that, like I said, I'm not trying to go on the road or anything. Maybe it's not that big of a deal to me. Like, if I bomb, maybe I won't really care that much, and that's why I'm not that nervous. But I think comedy is still the most difficult performance art.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Things are very, very hard to get going and get moving, and you have to adjust yourself to it, and it's always scary. I wake up in the morning when I have a comedy show that night. I wake up, and the part of my brain doesn't wake up early as I do that knows how to do comedy.
Really?
And I think I have to go in front of a group of people and make them laugh. I don't know how to do that at all, and I get scared.
Really? Even now?
Yeah, even now. But, then and then, of course, the rest of them, then the part of my brain that knows how to do that will wake up and say, hey, you know how to do it. How long have you been doing this? You do this forever. What do you... Don't worry about it. You know how to do it. But there's always that. There's always that thing, you always go. Like last night, drove to Vegas, I go to Vegas and, hey, maybe I'll suck, I went all this way to suck, and that
Did
can
it
happen.
Work out?
Yeah, it worked out great, except the microphone kept going out, and they had to switch microphones in the middle of my set. So my set wasn't as good because it was constantly being interrupted by technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But that's another reason that you have to go out and do 5 years of open mics. Because, everything's going to go wrong, and you need to be able to
just project if there's no microphone.
Going, and not have it screw you up, just being experienced, and then later on when you get to the, comedy store, hopefully you're good enough, and none of that stuff bothers you. You have enough stage experience to handle some guy coming up and
messing with the microphone.
Yeah, or wanting to beat you up because you just said he had sex with his sister.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Maybe just don't say that.
But maybe you better have some martial arts skills or something like that. You better be Joe Rogan.
Right, or a bodyguard.
Have some jiu-jitsu. Have a bodyguard, That happens in my show, There was a heckler heckling a comedian, and somebody said, isn't there a security to throw the heckler out of here? And I'm like, nope. They have security here to throw the comedians out that are bothering their drunks.
Right.
And that's what they have to understand. So anyway, we're going to start heading over to the place right now. And this has been Pod Potato. So where can people find you online, and where can they find your show?
You can find Laura Colquhoun on Facebook. You spell Colquhoun Colquhoun. And the show is at Next Stage in Hollywood on Saturday nights at 11 o'clock.
And that's on La Brea.
Sunset La Brea. Yeah, La Brea, just north of Sunset.
Kind of by, what is that street that's across from it? Is that?
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne, okay. So anyway, this concludes Pod Potatoes. We'll see you, or you'll hear us next time.
Bye.
Bye. Let me turn this off. I haven't even turned it off yet. It was